In a grid-down scenario, one of the only ways you're going to get information is from your local network. And if you live in the country, like you should, the only way you're going to be able to communicate with your neighbors who are pretty far away is through radio communication. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing a TID radio and comparing it to a popular name brand radio. If you want to see which radio does better, stick around.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now waiting, better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything.
Hey everybody, this is Praxis. In this video I'm going to be reviewing this TID radio right here, and I'm going to be comparing it head to head with this Midland radio because I feel like they're both that mid-range radio setup that you don't need a license to use. So we're going to be comparing them side by side, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to be heading off into the woods back over here, and I'm going to be taking distance measurements as I go, and all the audio that you're going to hear from me is coming through the two radios that I am going to be communicating with. So that way you'll be able to get a sense at different distances what kind of a clarity of audio that you can expect from both of these. Now obviously whenever you're using a radio, the environment that you're using it in is going to play a big role. If you're inside the middle of a giant concrete building, that's going to really cut down on the distance that the radio waves are going to be able to penetrate. And if you're like floating out in space, like if you're parachuting with two people and you got line of sight miles away, a radio that might not have very much range in that building, might be able to go for miles. So obviously the environment is going to be dependent. So when I'm measuring off like a half a mile here, you might be able to get more or less than that based on your environment, but we're going to be doing an apples to apples comparison between these two radios. So let's head off into the woods and we're going to see just how well both of these radios operate. Once I pull each one up, I'll obviously let you know, and you're going to know when you're hearing the audio from this camera that I'm talking through, and when you're going to be hearing the sound from the other ones, because you can definitely tell the difference. We're just over the ridge here. I'm not going to bother doing a reading here. Let's see, on my GPS unit, I'm 100 feet away. Okay, so while we're waiting for this joker to get wherever he thinks he's going, I figured we could go through the contents of the package, and I'm going to go a little Wes Anderson style on you and just open up the box. Right here, again, this is the TID radio that we are reviewing. So far, the results are looking really, really decent. I was actually surprised by the range I was able to get out of this. You'll see in the video coming up exactly how far we were able to push it. But I want to talk about some of the accessories that come in here. One thing that does not come in here is there's not a manual. You have to download the full manual. So that's something to understand. I mean, if you get a problem with that, that might be a make or break point for you. But I just want to mention that to get the manual, you need to download it, download the manual, program software, and a product operation video. So those are all available from walkietalkiesoftware.com. What you have in the package itself is the radio, and in this package there were two radios, which makes sense, so you can talk back and forth between them. So you get two radios and you get two charging stations, and these charging stations run off of a USB, so you can plug them into like a pre-existing USB hub that you may have, or they also come with a little adapter from AC to a USB there. I like the idea that they're running on USB though, because again, if you have a USB hub for lots of things, these can just kind of get added to the mix. The other thing that you have here is devices for using ear clips for having go directly into your ear, having a little closer microphone. Now I didn't experiment much with these guys because I don't tend to use this type of thing, but if this is stuff that you'd be interested in, you've got the clip-on microphone here, and this ports into the side over here. We have the speaker and the mic port right here, and that's how these guys engage. And the purpose of this is that you are able to have it going right into your ear, so it's a little bit quieter, so you're not letting everybody else hear in on the conversation that's being fed to you, and you're going to be able to have the microphone right up close to your your mouth so that you don't always have to be bringing this unit up next to you. So let's continue on with the video that is testing out the range on these guys. I think that's where it all is really important. It's great to have all these extra features and all these little add-ons and things, but if a radio doesn't have the power to push through the distance between the sender and the receiver, it doesn't really matter how many bells and whistles you have along with it. So let's get back to the video and find out how far we were able to push this. Okay, we're about 200 feet right now. So let's pull out the radios and let's see what we got. So we're going to do the TID radio first.
This is the TID radio at 200 feet. How are we sounding? Or can you hear me now? That's what people say, right?
All right, and now we're going to do the Midland radio.
This is the Midland radio at 200 feet. Can you hear me now? All right.
All right, so let's continue on. And we'll see, why don't we do maybe 400 feet? 400 feet, right next to these boulders behind me. So let's do a transmission from here. TID radio first.
This is the TID radio. How does this sound? Are we sounding clear at 400 feet? A little more than 400?
All right, and we're going to do the Midland radio.
The Midland radio, how does this one sound as a comparison between this and the TID at 400 plus feet?
Okay, let's continue on. Got our beautiful stream we're walking by here. If I shouted from here, there's no way that the house could hear me from here. We're at 0.15 miles at this point. So let's get out our radios and give it a test. Starting again with the TID.
This is the TID radio. How is this sounding? Is it clear? Can you hear the words that I'm saying? We are right now at 0.15 miles.
And the Midland.
This is the Midland radio. We are at 0.15 miles. Am I clear? Am I understandable?
I don't know. I'm not sure how far I can go before I'm just going to turn into static. So I'm just going to keep going. Okay, we're at 0.2 right now. Okay, so let's do another transmission, starting with the TID radio.
This is the TID radio. We're at 0.2 miles. That's 1/5 of a mile. How clear am I? How concise am I? Can you understand what I'm saying at 1/5 of a mile away?
And now the Midland.
This is the Midland radio. We are transmitting at 1/5 of a mile away. We are 0.2 miles away. How clear, how concise does this tool sound?
All right, there you go. You know, I won't know until I get back and listen to the recording. Why don't we go to 1/4 of a mile? All right, I'm on a little bit of a little bluff here, so we'll use this at 0.25 miles to transmit. And since it's a little easier walking, I might go a little further after this too. Okay, TID first.
This is the TID radio, broadcasting at 0.25 miles. It's 1/4 of a mile. How clear, how concise? Concise isn't the right word, but as long as I'm transmitting words, that's the point. Are you hearing words?
Let's try the Midland.
This is the Midland radio. We're transmitting at 1/4 of a mile away. That's 0.25 miles away. There's a deer right over here. I would try to get it with the camera, but it's never going to work out in the doe. I don't know, maybe I'll try to get it.
Oh, it's running away now. Yeah, she saw me. a doe deer. Just walked past me right over here. Okay, 0.33 miles. Not in a huge rush because of that plane. Okay, well, I'll try it anyway. This is the TID radio. We're gonna try first.
This is the TID radio, transmitting at a third of a mile distance. That's 0.33 miles distance. How do I sound? Am I clear? Can you hear the words that I'm saying?
I'll try the Midland.
This is the Midland radio, transmitting at 0.33 miles. It's 1/3 of a mile away. We are across the valley, transmitting through a fair bit of air, but also a fair bit of woods and trees. If I were to...
Oh, done with that. If I were to shout at this point, there ain't no way my voice would get across the valley here with all the trees.
All right, we're trying again, just with the TID radio, and this is 0.6 miles away. I'm pretty impressed with how well this one's working. I wasn't expecting to take the test this far. Well, sounds clear still.
Okay, we're transmitting with the TID radio.
A mile away. How do I
Okay, so there you have it. Up to about 3/4 of a mile, the TID radios can punch through a forest. You can communicate with people. I found that they worked better than the Midland radios. I stopped using the Midland part way when it was just obvious that there was a lot more static on that platform versus the TIDs. Now, these do not have the throw of the higher end radios that you need a license to run with. But let's be honest, these are a lot less expensive, and if the choice is between not buying a radio that just costs too much for you and it would take too long for you to get your license together and all that kind of stuff, or having something which you're going to save a lot of money on and you can just get today and start using right away, I think it makes sense to just have this in your back pocket. Now, if you got tons of money and you already have your ham license, yeah, go for the other guys. But if you don't and you want to have something versus nothing, I think these are a pretty good deal. The cost for them was pretty low and they outperformed the Midland radios. That's it. I hope you found this review helpful and thanks for watching. A lot of times in film and cinema, people will exaggerate really how far a radio can be used and under what circumstances it can be used. Myself included. When I was doing my Alien Invasion series, I wanted to use radios as a way of bringing in guest hosts, but we did it in a way that was probably a little bit questionable. If you'd like to see that series nonetheless, here's a link to it.